There's a fighter jet that's never lost a dogfight in over 20 years of service. Here's the unsettling part. It's also never actually been in one. It wasn't built to win fights. It was built to make sure they never happen. And the jet built to beat it never even got the chance. Genius, or the best-kept secret in Air Force history. You decide. Only 195 of these were ever built. It's the most expensive fighter jet ever made. And twice, the US government seriously considered killing the whole program before a single one ever flew. So why would anyone spend that kind of money on a jet built to avoid the exact thing it was designed for? There are basically three things stacked on top of each other that make this jet what it is. And once you see all three, you'll understand exactly why nobody else on Earth has ever gotten their hands on one. But first, here's how this jet almost never got made. This whole thing started because of one specific fear: a new generation of Soviet fighters, the Su-27, the MiG-29. Jets that on paper could outturn anything America had in the sky. The Air Force needed an answer, and needed it before the Soviets got there first. Whoever got there first would own the skies for the next 30 years. Back in the late 1980s, the plan was massive. 750 of these jets, replacing the aging F-15, dominating the skies for the next 30 years. Then the Cold War ended, and just like that, the jet lost its entire reason for existing. With it went the enemy. This jet was originally built to fight. The order got cut, then cut again. By 2009, the government pulled the plug for good. In the end, only 195 were ever made, and each one cost over $143 million just to build. Flying it costs even more. Every single hour in the air runs the Air Force something like $85,000. And that's just keeping it in the air. All in, the program burned through more than $67 billion. After the order had already been slashed by more than 70%. Built to counter a Soviet Air Force that, by the time the first one ever flew, didn't really exist anymore. The best fighter jet America's ever made almost didn't happen at all. But the one that did get made, what it can actually do is borderline absurd. Layer 1. The engines. This thing cruises faster than the speed of sound without even touching the afterburner. Something engineers call supercruise. Most fighter jets can only pull that off in short bursts before they burn through their fuel and drop back down, which means they've got to pick their moments carefully. This one just holds it, which means it gets into position faster, covers more ground, and still has fuel left over when the actual fight starts. While everyone else is deciding whether they can afford to sprint, this thing's already there. 2 Pratt Whitney engines, 35,000 pounds of thrust each, more than the F-15 puts out. It'll cruise above Mach 1.5 without ever touching the afterburner. Most rivals need the afterburner just to get close to that speed, burning fuel they don't get back. And that's not even the part that should worry you. The part that should worry you is you'd probably never see it coming. Layer 2. No sharp angles anywhere on the body. Radar-absorbing skin. Even the missiles are tucked inside the fuselage instead of hanging off the wings, because anything hanging off the wings shows up on a radar screen. A jet this size should be easy to spot. Instead, it shows up looking about the size of a bumblebee. Officially, the exact number is classified. Unofficially, engineers who've worked on it describe it as somewhere around the size of a marble, for a jet the length of a school bus. Fast, invisible. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. None of that matters if the person flying it can't actually keep up. Layer 3, and the one people underrate the most, the cockpit. This was the first fighter jet where one pilot could do a job that used to take 2 people. Full glass cockpit, one person running the radar, the weapons, and the jamming systems, all at the same time. The older F-14 needed a second guy in the back seat, just to keep up with everything happening at once. Take that second guy out, and normally you'd expect the pilot to be overwhelmed. Instead, the radar itself is tracking multiple targets through more than 2,000 individual sensors, feeding all of it to that one pilot in real time before the enemy even knows they've been found. And not just any pilot either. Fewer than 1 in 10 Air Force applicants who go for it actually get selected to fly this jet. So it's fast, it's basically invisible, and the guy flying it can see the whole board before the other side even knows they're in the game. But here's the catch: nobody puts in the recruitment video. That radar-absorbing skin isn't paint. It's a coating, and it's genuinely delicate. Every seam gets checked and resealed by hand after nearly every single flight, because one scratch is enough to show up as a blip on somebody else's radar screen. For every hour this jet spends in the air, ground crews spend more than 30 keeping it invisible. Fast, stealthy, and smart, only gets you so far if it spends half its life in the hangar. Which raises the obvious question: has any of this actually been tested? To answer that, you have to go back to before a single Raptor existed. 7 different aerospace companies threw their hat in when the competition first opened. By the time it came down to an actual fly-off, only 2 teams were left standing. Lockheed built a prototype called the YF-22. Northrop built a rival called the YF-23. And here's the twist most people don't know. The YF-23 was actually the faster jet, probably stealthier too. Some of the engineers who worked on both programs will tell you, off the record, that it was the better airframe, full stop. That's the kind of detail that never made it into the official Air Force history. So why isn't the YF-23 the jet you've heard of? Because speed and stealth weren't the only things being tested. In mock dogfights, Air Force pilots kept coming back to the same thing. The YF-22 could turn tighter, thanks to engines that could actually point in different directions mid-flight. The Air Force wanted something that could win a fight up close, not just avoid one entirely. It wasn't a blowout either. Pilots who flew both airframes have said for years the final result was closer than it looked from the outside. In 1991, Lockheed won the contract. The YF-23 never made it past 2 prototypes, both of which are sitting in museums today, next to a name almost nobody remembers. That one decision, in 1991, is the reason everything about this jet exists exactly the way it does. So, has it actually fought? Sort of. The F-22 has flown missions over Iraq and Syria, striking targets on the ground, but it's never once gone head-to-head against another stealth fighter in the air, because its 2 real rivals, China's J-20 and Russia's Su-57, have simply never shown up to that fight. And it's not that those rivals don't exist. China's J-20 has been flying operational missions for almost a decade. Russia's Su-57 has seen actual combat over Syria and Ukraine. But every time American and Chinese or Russian stealth jets have ended up in the same stretch of sky, one side has quietly pulled back before anything happened. Nobody in this game wants to be the one who finds out on camera. But that doesn't mean it's done nothing. In 2025, F-22s escorted the B-2 bombers that struck Iran's nuclear sites, sweeping the sky clear before the bombers ever got close. In January of 2026, they helped take down Venezuela's air defenses in the operation that ended with Maduro in custody. And it didn't stop there. A couple of months later, they were flying alongside Israeli jets in the strikes that hit Iran again. None of that made the kind of headlines a dogfight would. But it's the exact same jet, doing the exact same thing it's always done. Showing up first, seeing the threat before the threat sees it, making sure the fight never gets fair in the first place. And every one of those missions is being flown by a fleet that can't grow. The production line shut down for good in 2011. Tooling dismantled, suppliers scattered. Whatever's flying right now, crashes and all, is all there's ever going to be. And every year, it does something even quieter than that. Russian long-range bombers probe the edge of American and Canadian airspace up near Alaska, testing how fast the US can actually react. It happens more often than most people realize, and NORAD barely makes headlines out of it anymore. Almost every single time, it's an F-22 that gets there first, close enough for the pilots to see each other through the glass. No missiles, no shots fired, just one jet, quietly making a point, and then peeling off like nothing happened. Which brings us to the uncomfortable part. Is this jet undefeated because it's genuinely the best fighter ever built? Or is it undefeated because nobody's ever actually been allowed close enough to find out? There's a real law on the books banning the export of the F-22 to anyone. Not rivals, not allies, nobody. Japan asked, Australia asked, Israel asked, close allies who buy nearly everything else in the American arsenal. And every single one got turned down flat. Officially, that's to protect the technology inside it. Unofficially, it also means no other air force on the planet has ever gotten close enough to fully understand what this thing can actually do. Here's the thing though, even without a headline dogfight to point to, the entire design only makes sense if you stop thinking about winning fights and start thinking about avoiding fair ones. Picture 2 fighters closing in, except one of them's flying blind. That's not a fight anymore. That's the whole idea. See the enemy on radar minutes before they know you're there. Fire first. Be gone before they can react. In modern air combat, most fights are already decided before either pilot ever lays eyes on the other jet. The dogfight, the part everyone actually pictures when they hear the word, might be the least important part of the entire fight. So the F-22 doesn't need a kill count to prove it works. It just needs the other guy to never get a real shot. Which means the record isn't really undefeated. It's just untested. And right now, on the other side of the world, there's a jet that might finally be the one that changes that.